Foam pits are supposed to be fun. Who knew that jumping in a foam pit could be dangerous? This poor woman found out the hard way a few weeks ago. So, she was attending a convention that included a foam pit where people would fight it out gladiator style from 2 platforms above the foam pit. They were using a tube similar to a pool noodle to try to knock the opponent from the platform and into the foam pit. I'm sure you've seen similar things on TV, game shows. Well, she won, but ultimately lost, as you will see. After she knocked her opponent into the pit, she raised her arms triumphantly and then jumped cheerleader style into the foam pit.
Oh my gosh! Big sympathy needs some sense of her own. You good? Great victory there. I can't get out. Are you okay? She's held down by the piffle. Medic! Oh no, she's fine.
It is obvious that she's in a lot of pain. You'll find out what happened to her in a few minutes. So does this sound like a case? In my opinion, it is definitely a case worth pursuing. It would fall under what is called a premises liability case. A premises liability case is a case involving an unsafe or defective condition on someone's property. In this situation, it appears that this was a temporary foam pit created exclusively for this convention. It is my understanding that the surface underneath was concrete and that a thin mat separated the concrete floor from the foam, and that apparently the foam blocks were not equally spread out throughout the pit, and there was simply not enough foam to make this pit safe. In my opinion, this foam pit was negligently designed and or maintained. It was certainly foreseeable that people would jump into the pit from the platforms. Common sense would have dictated that there needs to be a lot of foam covering every square inch of the pit to ensure that someone would not get hurt as a result of the impact. So, what are the possible defenses? The biggest possible defense would be if she signed a waiver. Oftentimes businesses have people sign waivers before doing a physical activity like this. I've had to sign waivers for my kids to go go-karting, to go on water slides, to play paintball, for example. I'm sure many of you have as well. The idea of a waiver is obvious. It's an attempt to be free from liability or fault if someone who signed ultimately gets hurt. In this case, I don't know if a waiver was signed. However, just because a waiver is signed does not mean that the waiver wins the day. Our law firm has successfully had waivers ruled inadequate. In fact, we have a current case where an ATV flipped and we are arguing that the waiver is insufficient. Each state has different laws regarding waivers. In general, courts do not look at waivers kindly. Waivers need to be very clear, and significantly most courts state that a waiver must specifically state that the person is waiving a claim even if the company is negligent. So in many states, if the waiver does not specifically state that the signor is waiving a right to sue even if the company was negligent itself, it would be an invalid waiver. And fortunately, I have seen so many waivers that do not have the magic language that waives the company's own negligence. So in this case, hopefully she did not sign a waiver, but if she did, hopefully it's not valid. Assuming there is not a valid waiver, the next big defense would be something called comparative fault. In any case, the defendant can argue that the injured person was either completely at fault or partially at fault. Generally speaking, at trial, a jury would be asked whether the injured person is at fault, and if so, to divide the fault between the injured person and the defendant, with the total equaling 100%. The ramification of the jury's finding can be different state by state. In Nevada, the jury's verdict will be reduced by the court by the percentage of fault assigned to the injured person. For example, if a jury awards an injured person $100,000 and finds the injured person to be 30% at fault, the verdict will be reduced from $100,000 to $70,000. Now, in the foam pit case, I personally do not see a strong argument that she did anything wrong. I guess it's possible that some people may say that she should not have jumped so high and done a mid-air split. I don't buy that argument. Again, I'm not aware of any sign or warning that explained how to jump off the platform. a person such as this woman should have a reasonable expectation that it was safe to jump into the pit. It's not like she dove headfirst into the pit. But there is another fact that I will now share with you that makes this case appear to be even more compelling. It is my understanding that another woman was injured the day before from jumping in that same pit. Yeah, you heard me right, the day before. Now, how does that affect your opinion? This lady jumped into the same pit feet first. You can see her facial expression that she was immediately in pain. Apparently, she dislocated her knee and injured her ankle. If that happened the day before, it seems crazy and outrageous to me that the operator of the foam pit would not have made safety modifications. Even before anyone was hurt and before the convention even started, it should have been foreseeable and obvious that it was not set up safely. But now forget about foreseeability. After this first incident, it goes beyond foreseeability into having actual knowledge that it was dangerous. So what happened to this woman's back?
Good job.
Breathe in through your nose.
Really concentrate on your breathing.
Just covering your chest here. More pain, less pain, the same when you're standing.
A little bit less, but burning more.
It's good to see you up. Can you do a little march, move your feet around? Maybe we can go to the sink and maybe just like freshen up a little bit. Let's go. Over here.
Unfortunately, she has a long road ahead of her. She had a major spinal surgery that included the placement of a metal rod in her back. If she pursues a case, she can seek to recover her medical bills, which are probably more than $100,000 already. She can seek damages for her future medical needs. She can seek to recover lost wages, including future loss of earning capacity. She can ask for a lot of money for her pain and suffering. And depending on what facts are uncovered in the future, there may be a claim for punitive damages as well, especially since the operator appeared to have been on notice that this was dangerous the day before and apparently did not make modifications to make it safe. So before you or your kids jump in a foam pit or some other similar activity, do your best to try to look around. Use common sense and make sure that it's safe. I'd love to hear what you think in the comments section below, or shoot me an email. My contact information is in the description section below. I hope you got some value from this video. I'd appreciate if you subscribe to my channel, click like, and share with friends and family.